Give me a moment while I try and get this image streamed. There we go. Good morning. Or afternoon, God. I didn't trade this morning. I actually have been spending most of the day trying to clean up the YouTube channel design. I just cleaned up kind of the banner photo. Cleaned up the logo. It's the same logo. I just wanted to make it a little less blurry. So I spent most of the morning learning how to use this digital editing software. But I like the logo. It's cleaned it up. I just didn't like how it was blurry before. Okay, so talking about the market. This morning, we don't have much time before it opens. Again, I'm a little rushed. This morning, it was kind of a choppy open. I'm kind of glad I didn't trade it. Wasn't the prettiest open. This wasn't decently hard. As you can see, that wasn't the best. This is one of those scenarios where it's like I don't know if I would have got a winning trade here. That was pretty hard to read. We definitely would have had to wait for this fair value gap. But anyway, you can see in the morning we ran up into these levels up here that I had highlighted yesterday. So what these levels are is, and why I'm going to be looking for downside in this session is because hopefully this doesn't get too messy. This fair value gap right here that is in between, made from this candle, and it's yesterday, these last 3 days. So we came up and tapped into that. I think that's going to allow us, since we swept that day's high, to go a little lower. On the 4 hour, you can see it's a 4 hour fair value gap as well that we tapped into on Monday. And then you can see it here. We also took that high on the hourly. I like the fact that we took this high on the hourly. It's sweeping liquidity. And then it's that 15-minute breaker structure, high, low, higher high, that we respected here and we played off of on Monday. So we tapped into the breaker, tapped into the 4 hour gap, the daily fair value gap. So it's the hourly and 15-minute sweep of this buy side liquidity right here. It's a previous day. So I'm going to be looking for some downside. I think we kind of had a little bit of like a micro market maker sell going on right here. Let's get this off. I noticed how we came up right into that fair value gap. I want to see that hold down price. It's a 5-minute fair value gap as well as a 15-minute fair value gap. The target is going to be, which was also yesterday's target, this Monday PM session low. It's not the Monday low, but it's the Monday PM session low. Today's Tuesday, as well as, so yesterday's low. We'll have to get through this new week opening gap. I need to look at dollar first. It's really the first time I'm looking at the charts today. Might not trade. I don't feel super prepared. I haven't eaten all day, so I'm very hungry, but I don't want to. It was either make lunch or miss the 2 o'clock open or start of the session. Cool. So on the dollar daily, this fair value gap that we were keeping our eye on yesterday, we broke through it, took this sell side. You can see that dollar wicked right above it, or right below it. We opened, came down, and now we're rallying up. The fact that we closed right here makes me think that we just want to watch and make sure we're not using this daily as an inversion. We completely negated that fair value gap. This is also, you can see, we're holding off on the weekly consequent encroachment. So I do I would like to see more upside. I want to see us not use this as an inversion. You can see on the lower time frames we're kind of peaking above it. So I'm going to expect us to close above it. That's my narrative, is we swap the sell side, we're obeying the weekly wick consequent encroachment, and then we're going to close above it and continue for buy side. NASDAQ. It's looking interesting. That's yesterday's session low, or PM session low. It didn't tap into the fair value gap, but that's fine. I don't think it needs to. Okay. So again, I'm going to be targeting downside. I'm going to be targeting yesterday's PM session liquidity. I like the fact that we seem to be respecting this 15-minute fair value gap. Respecting this 5-minute fair value gap. It looks like we are breaking down to the downside. Remember, the fair value gap doesn't have to form inside of 2 p.m. We just enter in 2 p.m. So ooh. Gotta go into the account we're using. I'll do a balance update at the end of this video. I like that. It's not 2 though. Can't trade the model. It has to be in between 2 and 3. Remember that. Okay. I'm going to see how this candle prints, because I want to make sure it just doesn't print above this fair value gap. Measuring out the consequent encroachment of this 15-minute fair value gap. Okay. Cool, I like that. Let's sell one if we entered that again. You could have entered that. You can't enter at 2. Again, I just want to make sure I'm not rushing on to anything, seeing as I just got on. I haven't looked at the market all morning. It's not a bad. It's pretty low risk. Let's see. I am paying attention to how on the 5-minute you can see we have this fair value gap. It's kind of like a bullish fair value gap, and we tapped into it. I mean, on the 15-minute, we tapped into it on the 15-minute. Okay, yeah, if we close we're definitely closing above this fair value gap. And if we get above this high, I also think that we might have the draw on liquidity incorrect. So then we'll readjust. So remember, we'd have this fair value gap here too. That's why I put my stop where it is. It's the candle above this fair value gap. But if we do kind of show if we break above this fair value gap right here, I would readjust my narrative. Watching consequent encroachment of this wick on the 5 minutes. See, the candle bodies are staying below it. Our stop's above it. I really like this position for the stop. Because I think if we get stopped out here, then, like I said, our downside narrative, you know, as long as, if we close above this high, basically. If we come up, close above that high, I don't think we're going down anymore. Take that off. I don't need that. Cool. So I like that these candle bodies are respecting this fair value gap. I want to see us go and take this low now. Holy crap, I'm so hungry. Like, it's like starting to turn into that lightheaded hungriness. Where's 20? Okay. I like that we closed below this, as you can see right here. So we came up, respected this, came down, closed below this. Again, watching. I like these bodies did, you know, they closed a little bit above the consequent encroachment of this 15-minute fair value gap, but it's fine. Okay, that's interesting. The fact that we, you know, we're not really showing much. Yeah, again, I really like where the stop is. I think it completely negates our narrative. I don't like how both these candles closed below this fair value gap and then it returned up through it. But again, as long as we're respecting this one, I like that. I am paying attention to how on this 5-minute candle, this wick, this body came down to consequent encroachment, just a tick over, and it respected that. I don't like that. I'm being cautious of that. Okay, that's fine. Again, it was small stop, small loss. We'll continue to watch price. I would like it if we got up above this fair value gap and closed above this high. So it's right here. It's lunch buy side. This is lunch sell side. Okay. Yeah, so we're right in the middle of them. Let's see what the dollar. Dollar seems to be rising still. Dollar has these equal highs right here. I think the dollar looks like it's wants to go up. Okay, so we just came up, wicked above that high. Gonna take this off. No. Watching NASDAQ. NASDAQ didn't make a high right there. So we have a little SMT. I like that for downside narrative. So if we come down again, I want to close above this high before I really change my narrative. And the fact that NASDAQ didn't make a high there, I think supports downside narrative. The dollar, we're making higher highs on the 1 minute. Have some equal highs on the 5. And remember, tomorrow Fed Powell speaks, so price action the day before he speaks can be wonky. And we have GDP on Thursday. I'm still thinking of downside in play again until we close above this high. I like downside still. Nice, 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 nice. I do like that. The dollar looks like it wants to go for these highs. And on the 5-minute, we're still respecting this 5-minute for value gap. Let me, I don't want to put too much on the chart, but yeah, you can see even the 5-minute bodies, they're all still closing within the bottom half of this 5-minute fair value gap. Yeah, I like downside. If we get below these lows, we'll try and find another entry. Again, if so, whenever I see kind of like a consolidation like this, you know, I'd rather demand. So like you'll feel breaking below this low, you might feel like you're missing the move because it's like, oh, I want to enter in up here, and by the time you get down here, you're in the move. But I like to look at it as I'm preventing myself from getting chopped the fuck up, because it can do this. See this range we're in? It can move like this for another 10 to 15 minutes. So I want to know that we're leaving the range before I decide to get in a trade and then have to sit through all this. So I think since 2, there actually hasn't been a fair value gap that has delivered 5 handles yet. So technically it's not even like a silver bullet happened yet that we missed. This price leg is still playing out. Let's switch over to NASDAQ, get a better look at what NASDAQ is doing. Yeah, so I like downside as long as we're closing below this fair value gap. I'm gonna wait though. No need to rush into another trade. So if we get up and close above this fair value gap, I'd be interested in using it as an inversion to go higher. Notice how there's not many inefficiencies once we get above it, so I think it would go for this buy side, the lunch high. And I'd wait until we get below this low. You know, we'll be below the new week opening gap high. We'll be putting in a new low. We have a decent amount of room to the south side target, so I'd rather be absolutely certain. But this is some day before Powell speaks price action. You can see, and look on this 5 minute. It's pretty choppy on the 5 minute. Yeah, I'm glad we're not in this trade anymore. I would also like to see it like aggressively go above it and close. I would like that. If it were to close above it, that's the scenario I'd want. And I'd want it to be, it would have to be a new high on NASDAQ too. As you can see on NASDAQ, the wicks, let's put it in about 3 equal highs, so I can definitely see us coming up and at least printing some type of wick or candle above these highs now. Yeah, NASDAQ looks like it's going for it now. Okay, so NASDAQ's above those highs. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to take the SMT off. NASDAQ closed pretty hard. I'll enter one with the theory of going off this as an inversion. NASDAQ made a little fair value gap there. Stop loss. I'm going to put it right there. It's below this down close candle. Looks like the dollar's turning around. Targeting this buy side. Being cautious of this 15-minute up close candle. I kind of want to see us move with some force here. I want to see us move away from this with some intention. If we don't move away from it with some intention, then we'll think about closing the trade. NASDAQ is really going for it. I don't know if that's just the way I have it scrubbed. Yeah, NASDAQ's going for it. See if ES can catch up if this dollar starts to get a little lower. Watching the dollar seems to be continuing lower. There we go. So 20 ticks would be right there. I do like this buy side up here. I'm gonna move my stop to break even just because it's right below this down close candle. Thanks, we already took one loss. I just want to see it get up there. Actually, oh shit, it did that thing where it disappears again. I think it's just really behind this. I think it's like a little bug in TradingView because you can see the orange box there. So I think the stop is there. You just can't see it. But I want to see this buy side. Again, breaking a rule a little bit by not taking profits at the first 5 handles. Let me see what we're doing. That first loss was so small. I probably should. We have our stop at break even. I'm gonna pay attention to the dollar. I like the way. It is moving aggressively away over this. I want to see that fair value gap support price. I want to see it go now. I like how the dollar is still printing lower. I'm gonna be cautious of the wick, consequent encroachment. So maybe I'll stick it right at the consequent encroachment of that wick. I'll get 29. There we go. Yeah, so that's the buy side. Oh, there we go. Second guess myself. I should have kept it at the buy side. Wow, I'm really hungry and I feel a little lightheaded. But there we go. We got a little bit of profit for the day. We're inching our way back towards break even on the account, but I'm glad that we're out of that losing streak, and I'm starting to feel a lot more like myself in trading. So hopefully once we get this account back to break even, we can start working our way towards profitability, and then I'm going to break down kind of how I'm going to start using more contracts. And hopefully we can get this thing up. And the month of October was a pretty good month for me, so I'm going to and I want to close it strong. We have just this week left, so I'm probably gonna be defensive. I mean, like, yeah, today it's just like one contract on. This would have been a really great place to add another. Would it have been? Let me measure it out. Anyway, yeah. So, but I'm gonna just stay defensive and closing out the month of October because I want to make a video. I'm gonna make a video comparing my September and my October, and I think that's gonna be very helpful because September is when I opened this account, and again, I'm sure the people watching this, it's my first time live streaming my trading. It kind of got in my head, and we drew the account down into a deficit. So what we've been doing all of October is kind of getting that back, but I'm going to show my journal in that video because if you look, I'm looking at it right now, and October was just a big red, or September was just a big red month. October was a big green month, but October is shaping out to be a lot greener than September. And I just kind of want to make a video highlighting that. I think as you mature as a trader, you'll start to notice that, you're going to lose on certain days. And then if you do this long enough, you realize you're going to lose certain weeks. You're going to have, just like you have some red days and some green days, you have some red weeks and some green weeks. And, once you're mapping this out over long enough time, it's going to be, you have some red months and green months, but I think the better you get over time, the better you get at managing yourself from day to day, the less likely that you'll have red months, because red months are just such a compilation of so many days. I did have a red month in September, and so I want to showcase that, and how it's important too to just make sure you're logging this stuff, because you want to be able to map your progress over months. So these were our entries. I will go over it. In terms of where this can go, I'm curious because this is the lunch buy side. So I wouldn't be surprised if we took this lunch buy side and reversed for the sell side, especially because that would still have that narrative in play I broke down where these, we came up into this daily fair value gap this morning. So this is our daily high. I personally think, our long-term outlook is more bearish. So sweeping this lunch sell side, notice how we don't have any bodies close above it. I'd be curious to see if we come back and run to the lunch sell side. So for this trade, so it looks like this, you could call this a silver bullet for today. Wasn't the most obvious silver bullet. Normally, I wouldn't expect it to be something this far prior to 2. Going into this session, I hopped on and I outlined these higher time frame PD arrays. We have this daily fair value gap that was formed yesterday. We tapped into it. We took this daily high. This was Monday's high, and then we reversed. So we tapped into this daily fair value gap, took a daily high. We reversed. I was expecting to see price kind of respect this up close candle, and when I see on the 5-minute how we repriced aggressively lower. So it seemed like it wanted sell side right there. That was during lunch. We retraced back up, and coming into the 2 o'clock hour, I noticed how we tapped into this. It's a 5-minute fair value gap as well as a 15-minute fair value gap. So this is the 1-minute fair value gap inside of those. We tapped into it, came lower. We kind of meandered around, and when we started to break down right here, I expected a continuation off of these 3. So we had 3 fair value gaps right here. If you go back and watch our original entry, we mapped out these 3. I entered on the first one right here, or the second one is really the middle one. I entered right here, but remember, you have to allocate for this one. It can return to this one, which is why I put my stop up here. It looked like it was behaving. It was treating it well. Then we came up and ran through this high. And then we were kind of meandering above, touching into this. And I said, if we close above this fair value gap that we've been respecting once, twice, thrice, I'll use it as an inversion, because I think closing above this high, then my downside draw on liquidity is wrong, and I think we're going for the lunch buy side. So we waited, we came up, we closed above it. I market entered when I saw us come down to this area. The market enter wasn't the best. It came up like that. Noted. And then we moved away. I don't know if it's because I'm so hungry right now that I feel lightheaded, but these 4 candles felt like 10 minutes. I kept saying I want to see us move away aggressively, and it did not feel aggressive when they were printing, but looking in hindsight, this is a good move. Down close candle, threw up, went up. I liked what gave me confidence was how aggressively NASDAQ was pricing higher. The dollar at that time was making this low. You can see right here, it was turning around. The dollar wasn't able to come up and take out these 2 highs right here. I think that we took that lunch buy side. I think what was happening was this was just a retracement to go higher and take these 2 highs. That lines up with the fact that the dollar, or the indices, went higher to get lower. Sorry, the dollar went lower to take these 2 highs, just as the indices are going higher to take this lunch buy side. We could see it repricing lower. Yes, I wouldn't try and I would wait. I'm definitely not gonna enter this. We're green. We took 2 trades. See this 15-minute candle. I'm watching to see. I'd be curious as to where it closes. Anyway, yeah. So silver bullet, we got our 5 handles and ended up running for 10. That's awesome. And then if you look inside here, there wasn't any fair value gap that delivered 5 handles when 2 o'clock started. So that's why it was like, okay, just be patient, wait for us to leave this dealing range. Then you'll get your entry. See, it's way better I think it's way better to wait for you, like, your confidence on the draw of liquidity than to like kind of enter when it can be 50-50, and now you're like emotionally getting chopped up physically and emotionally. You're getting chopped up. So it's like, I know once we closed above this fair value gap and above this high, this lunch buy side was in play. So what I told myself is I'm going to wait for that to happen, because if we close above this high and above this fair value gap, if we close a candle above it and then like reverse and run sell side, that just wouldn't make sense in price. I don't think that's really, like, from what I know on like my understanding of ICT and his like algorithm, that wouldn't happen. We wouldn't close above this fair value gap and then reprice lower. We'd want to take some buy side first because we had no inefficiency up here. I mean, I guess you have a little one right there, but this buy side was too close at that point. And we had all of this consolidation. I think, so I'm watching the dollar right here. You can see it on the 1 minute. It looks like it's about to take this high. but on the 5-minute too, it looks like it's going for these equal highs. So if it does start going up and running these highs, I couldn't see the indices getting much higher. Awesome. Enjoy your day, guys. I'm gonna go have some lunch. Or maybe I'll stay on. I do want to see if the dollar ends up taking these highs. I'm watching specifically to see if we close a candle above this 5-minute high. So as you can see on the 5-minute, the 2 5-minute candles that printed within that lower quarter of it. But the one that's printing now, if we get a close even above the mean threshold, yeah, just like it did, that does look pretty good for upside. Again, a candle body close above that wick is, I could say that we'll revisit these premium arrays. This is in a spot that I would short from. I also wouldn't. You could enter long if these are your target. I'd probably wait. The move's already happened though, so again, like if you're targeting this high and these highs, you're going to be entering down here. Watching the dollar, so I thought it was significant that the dollar didn't take this high, because remember, these are those highs in the 5-minute that I was talking about, which also look like the highs of the day. So these are the highs of the day on the dollar, these two right here. So you wanna see, how is it gonna respect this high? If it can't even get above that high, then obviously it won't go above these highs. So if it came up to this high, and is now can't take it, and it's targeting this low, then it's probably going to make lower lows, and that's going to give the indices permission to revisit these premium arrays. I do think it's interesting how we're still not closing any candle bodies above this. Okay, I'm gonna log off for the day. Enjoy your day, guys. Reading the comments now. I know I usually try not to look at the comments until after I've traded. Dolpho said PA sucks today. PA this morning looked really shitty. When I logged on, I said I was spending most of my day today trying to learn this editing digital software, like logo software, to kind of clean up the logos on this YouTube channel. That's why I haven't eaten since I woke up. So I've been just poking around in that software. But when I did look at the market, I was really glad I didn't trade the AM session this morning. It was pretty rough. Yeah, you know, just I think since it's the day before Powell speaking, again, it's one of those days where price action, I think that's why in the morning it kind of behaved that way. This isn't the best, you know, seeing this isn't the best, but this leg was kind of nice. Seems like we're printing above these highs now. Dodd, you thought we were hitting a breaker. It looked like a nearly perfect unicorn, but the macro respected the bullish fair value gap. The 15-minute inversion. Yeah, so we have this 15-minute. I got kind of another thing that another reason why I thought this buy side was in play, because so we did take this London overnight liquidity right here at that lunch low, and then coming out of lunch we came up, hit this fair value gap. And you know what really tipped its hat to me was when this candle respected the consequent encroachment of this wick. So this candle came down, respected consequent encroachment of this wick, repriced higher. Then this candle within this chop repriced to that 15-minute fair value gap. And then that was when this 15-minute candle was printing, which on the lower time frames was the candle that was moving above this inversion. When that was printing, that's when I was saying, okay, I think this is continuing. It is continuing off of all that other narrative, you know, taking London lows, printing fair value gap on the 15, respecting it, hitting consequent encroachment. Oh, this candle also right here, that repriced to consequent encroachment of that candle. So remember, consequent encroachment of wicks are fair value gap, are PD arrays. So when you see price respecting those, note that, because it's the same as it respecting a fair value gap. So respected consequent encroachment of that came up. That lended to my upside narrative. And too, when we consolidate like this, if it was to run up, and I wanted the candle close above it, because if it was to sweep this like consolidation to go lower, it would probably do it in a wicking fashion. It would go up, because remember, the wicks do the damage. It would go up, sweep them, and then it wouldn't close above it. And then this candle also, this candle that closed above it was a 5-minute. It was also a 5-minute candle that was closing above these highs. Okay, now